Hi guys. Today we're reading a book called The Cycle of Life. It is written and illustrated by the team of Australian Geographic Science. Living things. All living creatures have life cycles. Plants and animals are born or germinated, mature, reproduce, and live in ways that are determined not only by their biology, but also by the environment that they live in and the other creatures present in it. There can be huge variations in life cycles and biological processes, such as with the immortal jellyfish, which is able to revert to a juvenile stage if it experiences environmental or physical stress. Though there are exceptions to every rule, animals and plants can be classified based on their biological features, so sit within certain identifiable groups that have common characteristics. Animals can be classified as vertebrates and invertebrates based on whether or not they have a spine. Birds. Birds are warm-blooded, have feathers, hollow bones, and beaks, and lay hard-shelled eggs. Most birds can fly, although not all, such as penguins, emus, and cassowary. A bird's feathers are regularly used to fly, but they can also provide insulation and for use for camouflage and sending signals. Birds mostly have a poor sense of smell, but highly developed eyesight. They communicate to one another using visual and auditory messages, and many species are known to flock together and to migrate seasonally. Invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals that doesn't have a backbone, including insects, mollusks, crustaceans, corals, arachnids, jellyfish, and worms. This is a diverse grouping with varied characteristics. Mammals, with the exception of the egg-laying monotremes, mammals give birth to live young that they feed with milk. Most mammals are warm-blooded and have fur or hair. Though most mammals are four-legged creatures, the group also includes diverse animals as whales, bats, monkeys, and seals. Some mammals, known as marsupials, give birth to underdeveloped young, which then continue to grow in the mother's pouch. Some species live together in groups or families, and others are more solitary. Okay, I don't have time to read all this. It's going to take a long time, so I'm going to show you the picture. Sunflowers. Sunflowers are tall, summer-growing plants native to North America that are now also grown commercially and domestically in Australia, in Queensland, and New South Wales. The seeds are used to produce oil used for cooking, as well as in paints and lubricants. Sunflower seeds can also be eaten. Growth essentials. Sunlight. The sun is our source of energy, heat, and light. Plants need sunlight to perform photosynthesis. Some animals rely on the sun for heat, and even nocturnal animals feed on living things that got their energy from the sun. Water. All living things need water. Plants need water for photosynthesis, and animals rely on it for hydration, digestion, and even to live in. Air. The atmosphere that surrounds our world is a mixture of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Plants need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, Animals breathe in oxygen in the air or water and breathe out carbon dioxide. Nutrients. Organisms need nutrients to function, stay healthy, and grow. Plants make their own sugars and absorb nutrients in the soil through their roots. Animals eat other animals or plants to get nutrients. That's cannibalism, isn't it? Shelter. Every organism needs a safe place to live. They need safe, regular access to their other group's essentials, as well as potentially protection from the weather. Well, bigger animals can eat smaller animals, right? Stage 1. Sunflower seeds are no bigger than a fingernail. A hard seed found in the center of a sunflower contains the beginnings of a new plant as well as food for the plant when it starts to grow. When it is buried in the soil and watered, it starts to grow. This is the beginning of germination. Stage 2. The seed's outer shell will split open and a root will grow out downwards into the soil. A shoot will grow up outwards through the soil. Eventually, the outer shell of the seed falls off and small leaves open up. This tiny shoot is called a seedling. It grows taller, thicker, and stronger. Stage 3. Now that the plant has leaves, it can make its own food by using sunlight to process air and water to create energy. This process is called photosynthesis. The leaves need to collect as much as sun as possible, as well as carbon dioxide through tiny holes on the leaves. The plant also soaks up water and nutrients through its roots from the soil. This is the point where in its life when it will grow the fastest. Shortly, a green flower bud will form. Now, I'm not going to read stage 4 because it will take long to read. And you can plant a sunflower and track its growth at www.australiangeographic.com.au/sunflower. Sea dragons. Sea dragons are small fish that look very similar to seahorses. There are two different species of sea dragon in Australia, the leafy sea dragon and the weedy sea dragon. And while they are about the same size, they look very different. Just like seahorses, it's the male that cares for the young. Stage 1. During spring and summer, the male and female leafy sea dragons swim into shallow waters to find a mate. The female leafy sea dragons produce up to 250 brightly colored eggs. While the female does this, the tail of the male gets bigger and grows little cups. The female transfers the eggs to the male. Stage 2. The male incubates the eggs for around a month, depending on how warm the water is. Sometimes the eggs get coated in algae. Scientists think that this helps hide the eggs from predators. Stage 3. When the babies hatch, they look like miniature replicas of their parents, and they emerge wriggling and squirming from the egg tail first. They are not all born at once. It can sometimes take a week for all the eggs to hatch. They're about 2 centimeters long when they are born and can look after themselves straight away, though they're extremely vulnerable and only a small number survive to become adults. Stage 4. The baby sea dragons will eventually grow to about 20 centimeters long and will be fully developed adults by the time they are 2 years old. They feed on small organisms such as plankton by sucking them into the snout. Fact: the leafy sea dragon can change color to blend in with its environment. I'm not going to read this part because it takes too long, but if you want to read it, post the video and you can read it. Again. Emus. Emu are flightless birds that live only in Australia. They are the largest native birds and can grow to be 2 meters tall. They have 3 strong toes with sharp toenail-like claws, which they sometimes use to protect themselves by kicking. They mostly eat plants, but sometimes eat insects such as grasshoppers and moths. Stage 1. Emus form breeding pairs during the summer months of December and January, and may remain together for about 5 months. They patrol their territory, protecting it from intruders. The male emu builds a rough nest in a sheltered hollow on the ground with grass, bark, and leaves. Stage 2. Emus breed in the cooler months of May or June. The exact timing is determined by the climate because they nest during the cooler months of the year. Every second or third day during the mating season, the female lays one of an average of 11 and as many as 20 very large, thick-shelled, dark-colored eggs. Fact: when sprinting, an emu can run nearly as fast as a cheetah. Stage 3. The male incubates the eggs. From this time on, he does not eat, drink, or go to the toilet, and he stands up only to turn the eggs, which he does about 10 times a day. That's a lot. Incubation takes 56 days, and the eggs hatch within a couple days of one another. The chicks are about 12 centimeters tall when they are born. That's quite long. I'll say it's pretty quite short. Not very long. Stage 4. The camouflage brown and cream stripes that emu chicks bear fade away after about 3 months. The male stays with the growing chicks for up to 18 months, defending them and teaching them how to find food, at which point they reach maturity. Now, I'm not going to read this because it takes too long. Anime take a very long time, like an hour or something. Claws. Claws are easily recognized by their pointed snout, long tail, and spotted fur. They have sharp teeth and strong jaws for tearing meat and crushing bones. Like the related Tasmanian devil, these fierce marsupials communicate loudly with hisses and screams. Claws shelter in hollow logs or dens in forests, emerging mostly at night to hunt. The largest species, the tiger claw, eats birds, reptiles, and mammals such as possums and echidnas, while the smaller species eats mainly insects, birds, frogs, fruit, and small mammals and lizards. Claws are generally solitary, except during the breeding season and when they frequent usual communal latrines to mark territories and socialize with one another. Stage 1. After mating, a backwards opening pouch develops on the female belly. After 3 weeks, she gives birth to up to 30 tiny, underdeveloped young. They make their way to her teats to feed, but as she only has 6 teats, those that doesn't make to 1 will die. That's pretty sad. The baby quolls stay attached to the teat for about 2 months as they grow and develop, feeding on their mother's nutritious milk. Stage 2. After those 2 months, the young quolls emerge from the pouch but stay close to their mother. She will carry them on her back and feed them in their den for 6 more weeks. After stage 3, after that period, they will leave the mother's territory to find and mark out their own. They reach full maturity after 1 year. Most smaller quolls only live an average of 2 years. The largest spotted-tailed quoll lived for about 4 years. Fact: quolls are the largest carnivorous marsupials on the Australian mainland. Frogs. There are thought to be more than 4,000 frog species of the world, more than 200 of which are native to Australia. Frogs are called amphibians. This means a frog spends part of its life in water and part of its life on land. They need to keep their skin moist, so they like to live in wet, damp places, sometimes near ponds or lakes. All frogs start off as tiny eggs in or near water. Stage 1. Frogs begin their life as an egg, which the female lays in the water or a very wet place. She lays lots of eggs at once, and they are all covered in a mass of jelly-like material. This is known as a frog spawn. The jelly provides support and protection for the growing frogs, but also lets them breathe and absorb water. Where the mother frog chooses to lay her eggs is very important. If there is not enough water covering the eggs, they can dry out. If there is too much water, the eggs could get swept away. Stage 2. Some eggs are eaten by fish and other pond animals, but some survive and babies keep growing. After a few weeks, the eggs hatch. It takes less time for the eggs to hatch in warmer weather than it does in cold weather. The tadpoles that emerge from the egg spend all of the time in the water. Some tadpoles look nothing like adult frogs, and in the beginning they don't even have legs. They are oval-shaped and have a long tail, which they use as a rudder to move around. They also have feathery gills on the side of their heads, which help them breathe underwater. The tadpoles eat algae that grows in the water. Stage 3. The tadpoles grow fast. When they are a few weeks old, they begin to change into frogs. First, they grow back legs. Then their gills start to disappear and they begin to swim to the surface and to breathe air for the first time. Stage 4. Their front legs begin to grow and their long legs begin to shrink. Now the tadpoles finally begin to look like tiny frogs. Once their tails completely disappear, the tadpoles are now called froglets. The froglets stay in or near water and slowly learn how to be a grown-up frog, catching insects with their long sticky tongues. Once they are big enough, they move away from where they hatch to find their own territory. Fact: frogs don't need to drink water as they absorb it through their skin. The green tree frog is amazing at climbing. Test it out. You can go to World Wide Web, AustralianGeographic.com.au// I don't know what it's called, but // whatever it is, frog tongue. Banksias grows as trees or woody shrubs. There are lots of different types of Banksia in Australia, but they all have similar types of flowers that stand upright on one spike. They are usually yellow, but sometimes can have orange, red, pink, and even violet colored flowers. Stage 1. A Banksia's life cycle begins with the tree flowering. Many Banksias flower all over autumn and winter. The flower heads are made up of hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny individual flowers grouped together in pairs. Flowers are then pollinated by birds and insects. After the plants have flowered and are pollinated, they produce fruits. The fruits of Banksias are called follicles, and they are hard, woody, often grouped together to look like pine cones. The fruits protect the seeds from animals and from being too wet or drying out too early. Stage 3. During late spring and early summer, the fruits dry out in the hot sun and the seed pods begin to open. The seeds are then eaten by birds or fall to the ground. Some seeds are very light and are carried away on the breeze. The birds fly to new places and the seed works its way through the bud and it is excreted out. Stage 4. Once the seeds find their way back to the soil, they begin to grow into seedlings. The Banksia will continue to grow until it reaches adulthood at about 2 years old. Then the life cycle starts over again. The Banksia has thick and corky wood. Humpback whales. Humpback whales are massive, graceful creatures that journey across half of Earth, from north to south. They mate and give birth in the warmer water found towards the equator. Then they travel towards the poles where the food supply krill lives in abundance during the summer. Stage 1. Male and female whales look for one another during winter, while in warm water to mate. Mating takes place every 2 to 3 years. As a female whale gestates is pregnant for between 10 and 14 months. During that pregnancy, the mother will migrate to the poles during the summer to eat krill before returning to the warmer water to give birth. The mother will give birth to one calf, tail first. The baby whale can weigh as much as 1 ton and reach 5 meters in length. That's quite long. Fact: humpback whales make rings of bubbles below schools of fish and rise up through the center to catch prey. Stage 2. The young whale will drink milk from the mother for between 5 months and a year, growing to 9 meters. The mother humpback whale will stay close to the baby until it is ready to be alone. Stage 3. Adolescent humpbacks leave their mother and begin to travel in pairs or groups. They spend a lot of time eating plankton, krill, and small fish, eating up to 2,500 kilograms of food a day. Stage 4. By the age of around six, they have become sexually mature adults and start looking for partners of their own. Wedge-tailed eagles. The wedge-tailed eagle is the largest bird of prey in Australia. These birds can grow to have a wingspan, the measurement from the tip of one wing to the other when the wings are spread, of more than 2 meters. They like to soar high in the sky and have very good eyesight, which help them spot prey on the ground. They are called wedge-tailed eagles because when looking up at them from underneath, the tail feathers like a diamond or wedge shape. Like all birds, wedge-tailed eagles begin their life in an egg. Stage 1. Female and male wedge-tailed eagles pair up and work together to build a massive nest from dead sticks and twigs. Every day, the male will put fresh leaves in the base of the nest. The nest is built high off the ground in the fork of a tree or on a cliffside to avoid predators, and can be up to 5 meters wide. The female will usually lay 2 eggs, but not at the same time. She will lay 1 egg and then lay another 2 to 4 days later. The eggs are pale gray, splotched with purple and brown, and round to oval in shape. They are about the same size as a goose egg. Stage 2. The male and female take it in turns sitting on the eggs to keep them at the right temperature. After 40 days, the first egg will hatch, followed by the second egg a few days later. Baby eagles are called chicks and are covered in fluffy white down. They can't feed themselves and rely on their parents to place food directly in their mouths to start with. The male eagle does all the hunting at this stage, and the female uses her beak to shred the prey he brings back so she can feed the babies. Sometimes during extended periods of drought, wedge-tailed eagles will stop breeding as there is not enough food available. Stage 3. When the chicks are about 2 weeks old, they start to grow their first feathers. Both parents will now go hunting for food, leaving the chicks behind. When the chicks are about a month old, they can no longer need to be fed by their mother. While they can't fly yet, they can now recognize food when it is brought to them, and they will eat the meat of the nest floor. They continue to grow in size and develop more feathers. Stage 4. After 4 months, the chicks have grown all their juvenile feathers. They stay with their parents for a little bit longer, learning to hunt for themselves. When the chicks are 6 months old, they leave their parents and fly to find their own territory. They are fully grown at about 5 years old. Fact: wedge-tailed eagles are monogamous, which means they breed with one partner for their entire lives. There's another tested out called AustralianGeographic.com/au//whatever it is nest. After I finished reading, I had to blur something out because the YouTube admin might like give me a strike for showing something inappropriate. I'll probably get demonetized or something, so I'll blur out with my finger. Wombats. Wombats are marsupials. This means when a baby wombat is born, it is underdeveloped and carried by its mother in a pouch on her stomach. They are found all over Australia and can grow to weight around 35 kilograms, which is about the same as an 11-year-old child. They live in burrows in the ground and come out at night to eat grasses, bark and roots. Stage 1. At birth, a baby wombat is called a joey, which is also the same name for a baby kangaroo. It's very tiny. They are only about the size of a jelly bean, with very thin skin and no hair. When they are born, joeys can't see, but have a very good sense of smell. They use this sense of smell to find their way to their mother's pouch, crawling along her tummy. Once in the pouch, the joey attaches to the mother's teat, which swells so the baby stays attached. Here they drink lots of fattening milk, which helps them grow and also helps them to prevent them getting sick. Stage 2. The joey will stay in its mother's pouch, drinking her milk for anywhere up to 10 months. After about 1 month, they start to look more like a wombat, with strong legs and sharp digging claws. They continue to grow, and at about 3 months have grown thick hair and can open their eyes. When the joey is about 5 months old, they start to explore the world and no longer stay in the pouch, but stay very close to their mother. Stage 3. When the joey is about 1 year old, they will start to use their big teeth to eat food, but still stay close to their mother. They will often follow their mother out of the burrow to find food over night time. They will also stay in the burrow by themselves while their mother goes to eat. The mother will rip up grass roots and to drop them on the ground for a baby to eat. During this time, the joey puts on lots of weight as they get used to their new diet. They stay with their mothers for about 2 years before leaving her to build their own burrow. Fact: a wombat's pouch faces backwards, which allows them to dig tunnels without getting dirt and sandy. I had to blur out this part because I'm worried that my video will get demonetized. Green tree pythons. A green tree python is able to move through the forest almost silently. It uses the broad scales on its underside to grip branches and is able to stretch its body from branch to branch while only holding on with its end of its tail. It uses the end of its body tongue to detect different smells and uses that with its ability to sense body heat to hunt at night. Stage 1. Solitary creatures. Green tree pythons use scent to attract potential males. Females will lay 6 to 32 eggs around October and then brood over the clutch for a period of approximately 50 days. The mother snakes have been observed shivering and contracting their core bodies in order to produce heat for the brood. Stage 2. The eggs will hatch in November and onwards, which corresponds to the start of the wet season. Baby green tree pythons are about 30 centimeters in length and can be either yellow or red. Once hatched, the baby snakes are independent from their mother and one another. The juvenile snakes tend to stay in the canopy gaps or along the edge of the forest. Stage 3. The snakes will turn green between 6 months and 1 year old, but only reach full maturity after 2 to 3 years. At maturity, there will be an average length of 1.5 meters. As they grow, they eat larger and larger prey, and the adults move further and higher into the rainforest. Fact: the white marking on a green tree snake helps to camouflage the snake in the dappled light of the rainforest. Bees. Bees are flying insects that produce honey. You may have seen honeybees buzzing around flowers. If you watch them without getting too close, you will see them crawl right down into a flower. They are collecting nectar or sugarwood. A bee will carry the load of nectar from a lot of flowers back to the hive. Then the bees will use their wings to move air to evaporate most of the water. What's left is honey. Baby bees eat honey to help them grow. Stage 1. Honeybees are not very active during winter, but when the season starts to change, the hive is abuzz with activity. When the spring flowers start to bloom, the bees start to forage for nectar to make more honey. The queen bee will also start laying eggs. Stage 2. After 3 days, the eggs hatch and larvae emerge. During this stage, each larva will be feed about 1,300 times a day. That's a lot. They are fed by worker bees that have the special task of looking after them, and they are called brood nurses. They are fed food made from pollen and honey. Stage 3. When the larvae are 6 days old, they are sealed in their own little chamber in the honeycomb. Then they spin a cocoon around themselves and begin to change into a pupa. Stage 4. 10 days later, the bees emerge from the cocoons and fully formed adult bees and begin to collect pollen and nectar with the other worker bees. Queen bees emerge a little earlier at about 6 days. Fact: honeybees communicate with one another by dancing. They have special dance moves that mean certain things to other bees. We are getting close to the end. Crocodiles. There are 2 main types of crocodile in Australia: the salt and freshwater. The saltwater crocodile is the largest type of reptile in the world. The males can grow to be 5 meters long and can live to be 70 years old. They are called saltwater crocodiles because they like to live in the ocean as well as freshwater rivers and billabongs. Freshwater crocodiles are smaller than the saltwater species and have longer snouts. They are only found in freshwater. Both types of crocodile start life as an egg in a nest by the water. Okay. Stage 1. A pregnant female saltwater crocodile builds a very impressive nest that can take her up to 2 weeks to complete. It is called a mount and can be as tall as half a meter. She picks her nest site very carefully to make sure that it's above the high tide mark, but not too far away that it might dry out. The nest is made up of down vegetation or laid on mud. Oh my god.
Okay, pause. Okay, finish.
Oh my god.
Far away. Continue.